I wanna rock! Good morning, everybody. Music Man Mike with you here. Welcome to Rockapedia on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. We are joined this morning by the producer, Dylan. How are you, sir?
You know, I'm doing pretty well, Mike. Here on Rockapedia, once again, it's a Tuesday, best day of the week, you know? So only one day into the void of the week, and feeling good. How are you guys?
We're good. Joe, how are you? Gypsy Joe from Richmond, Virginia. What's going on?
Just had someone come to the door, so it kind of threw me off my game there.
Was it the Amazon guy?
No, it was my friend Carrie.
Oh, nice.
Carrie's there?
Yeah, Carrie's here.
Hi, Carrie.
She said sorry.
I thought maybe it was the Amazon guy or the UPS delivery guy bringing the 45th anniversary destroyer package to you, sir.
Oh, we could only be so lucky.
$200 well spent.
You get the $200 package, you get the $30, there's a $50, I think, whatever it was. It was 3 different packages, but the $200 one we were just looking at has everything in it. It's like a dream come true. I mean, look at that stuff. You got posters, you got patches, you got iron-on stickers, you got CDs and DVDs, and of course you got the deluxe album cover. I mean, you can't go wrong with that thing.
Although, I've got to say, you know, I'm looking through the list of everything that they've got in here, which, like, it's really cool, all the collectibles. They've got, like, a 200-page hardcover book with, like, all this stuff in it, right, about liners and all that. Although, the deluxe edition double LP looks better to me. I don't know. I mean, it's like you actually get vinyl.
I know.
And there's
let's do a $250 package and throw the vinyl in.
Throw the vinyl in. Yeah, I'm like I get the 4 CDs and everything, but a lot of cars can't even do CDs anymore. So I don't even know. Like I'm a CD guy. I have a ton of CDs. I actually right now I've been on a Elton John kick lately, and I've been listening to Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. Mm-hmm. It's been the CD of choice in my car on my break as of late, but you know, I can't fathom why you wouldn't put some LPs in this as opposed to
I'm gonna have to get a hold of Gene and find out about his marketing strategy there, because that does not make sense to me. I mean, we're trying to go back into the vinyl era, and you're selling a $200 package with CDs only. It don't make sense.
And if you look at this thing, it looks like this box here would just hold vinyl in it, right? Yeah. Like it looks like that's just a deluxe vinyl packaging.
It's
or something.
Trickery, is what it is.
Yeah, I would think that would be vinyl, and I would expect that for, you know, if you're paying top quality money, you should get vinyl.
That's what I thought when I first saw it advertised wherever I saw it, probably Facebook of all places. And then you go to kissonline.com and you look at the offerings and you see that there's no vinyl in the bonus deluxe package. So I'm torn. I don't know what to do. I would love to have the vinyl, but I also want all the stuff, quote unquote stuff.
Although I gotta say they have a pretty cool. Let me see if I can get a little snippet of this while I'm talking about it. They have a cool like throw blanket, I guess, of the Destroyer album cover, which honestly
I saw that. You can buy that. You can buy that separate.
Yeah. It's pretty cool, honestly, to like hang it up on a wall or something.
And they got a lot of cool T-shirts too. So yeah, that's very cool. And the Kiss T-shirts that they have for sale, anywhere between $30 and $35. Now the people that we saw standing in line at the concert, I'm guessing are probably paying the same prices. I don't know if it was overinflated or what, but I wasn't about to stand in those lines. I think we talked about that last time, but. Yeah, go to kissonline.com, and I shouldn't be advertising for them. But
by the way, this show brought to you today by Kiss Army. Go and get your merch anywhere on kissonline.com.
So let's go back to what you were talking about, Dylan. You're listening to Yellow Brick Road.
Yeah, I've been kind of on that lately, actually. I don't know why. Typically on my lunch break, and don't tell anybody out here. I'll eat my lunch and then I'll go use my hour lunch break to lay down in my car. I have a pillow in there.
A lot of people do that here.
Yep. And I will, you know, I don't like to use my
your kiss blanket.
Yeah, I'll snuggle up in my very cheap $90 Kiss blanket and lay down in the back of my car all comfy and cozy. And I've been listening to Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. It's one of the many CDs I have in my car. I've been switching back and forth between that, some Aerosmith, and Iron Maiden, so kind of 3 different things there.
You're
But
all over the place.
all over the place, but I was feeling some Elton John this week, and I forgot how good that album is. It's a very good one. I will say the only song that is very out of place to me, and every time it comes on, I'm like, it's good in theory, but it just does not sound like the rest of the album, is Jamaica Jerk Off. Not even really, like, it comes on, and I'm like, they were on a lot of coke whenever they were making this album, weren't they? Like, they pushed this through, and they were like, "Oh yeah, that's good. Oh, Elton, that's a good one right there. Let's push that through." And but it's a good one.
When no one can say no to him any longer, that's what happens.
No, not even a little bit.
Was that a double album set?
I don't know. It was like 17 songs, but I don't know that it was It was a double album.
I always thought it was a double album. I might be wrong.
I think it was.
It might have been.
But you talk about that song in particular, it's out of place. You talk about what was going on in that era at the time. So it kind of reminds me of, as soon as you said that, reminds me of Paul McCartney's Band on the Run album. So Band on the Run was recorded in Jamaica, I think. Am I right, Joe? Or do you know?
I think so. I
think so. And it was recorded. They were definitely having a good time. The actor James Coburn, of all people, was there hanging out with them. I've got like the deluxe edition of Band on the Run at the house, and it's got James Coburn is on the cover of the album with them doing the pose like they're gangsters running away from the spotlight.
I did not know that.
Yeah, James Coburn was the 70s guy, the big cigar smoking cool guy. He was hanging out with Paul McCartney and Wings back then. Yeah, but they were doing the same thing. If you the deluxe edition I got, you open the book and it shows them on the beach, shows them at the jungle, shows the little Jamaican kids around them.
So it was actually in Nigeria. It was in Lagos, but that phenomenal album, by the way. Did you guys watch that Paul McCartney documentary that was on? I think it was Hulu
with Rick Rubin.
With Rick Rubin,
yes.
Yeah, which also Rick Rubin is a weird guy, but I like half the time I was like, who decided Rick Rubin was going to be the guy to interview Paul McCartney?
There were those moments when he sat cross-legged in front of Paul McCartney as Paul McCartney's sitting in the chair, and you're just like, he's like a little kid, just like in awe.
Without shoes on. Yeah, I'm like, put some shoes on. This is Paul McCartney. Like, do you know who you're talking to right now?
Sir Paul.
This is Sir Paul. Yeah, and you're walking around with no shoes. I don't even, whatever, man. But,
well, he wasn't always that way. Do you know Rick Rubin?
I know Rick Rubin. I haven't gone deep into Rick Rubin just because he's always been kind of a weird character for me.
Well, so he's one of those guys that pulled people out of the trenches and turn them into something. From Run DMC to Slayer to whoever, you name it. I mean, and then at the end, who was it? Johnny Cash and Tom Petty. I mean, he's like you with your Iron Maiden and Elton John. He's all over the place. But he's only been the shorts wearing, no shoes guy for probably the last 15 years. Before that, he was just a hippie.
Okay. Well, I mean, he's still a hippie then. I mean, everything works out great. But
he did this. He pulled a stunt on the Black Crowes that they hate him for this. So they signed to, I guess it was Def American was his label back then.
Yeah.
And it was like right after the whole Def Jam thing. But anyway, their album came out and he didn't have anything to do with it. Didn't want anything to do with it. And when it sold 1 million copies, the first 1 million copies don't have Rick Rubin's name on it. After that, it says executive producer Rick Rubin, where he didn't do anything on it, but he put his name on it because it sold 1 million. And he could because he owned the label.
Yeah. I don't know how to feel about that, I
guess if you own the record label, you can do whatever you want to.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, man, let the band did it. I get that the producer, especially nowadays, post the Beatles and everything, we have a lot of people or a lot of producers who have a huge hand in how the album actually sounds. But I don't know, I feel like the Black Crowes and certain other bands, it's a little bit more raw and like you're in the room, you're recording and that's that. And the producer and the engineer are really just making sure that levels are good and everything sounds good in the EQ afterwards. I just don't know how I feel. It doesn't leave me with a good feeling in my mouth afterwards.
Can we get Paul Fig on the line real quick?
Yeah, no. He would kill me. He would kill me. But I'm saying, and I think it depends on the artist. You have people like the Black Crowes, or I'd say in recent memory, Big Thief will, like the people, or even like Velvet Underground. They choose to record as a band together in the room, and that's that. That's what the recording is. Just make sure nothing's like overlapping or clipping, and everything's recording well. And that's what the record's going to be. The post-production is typically just leveling everything out, making sure that everything sits well, and that's what the record is. Versus more experimental things where the producer does have a bigger role in that. I don't know. I think it depends on the album, and that one specifically, I feel like hurts a little bit to see that happen. So,
which going back to Kiss Destroyer, when Bob Ezrin produced that, and he got a hold of that band and totally changed a lot of it.
I was the co-producer on that, just so you know.
After they sold 1 million.
Not on the first million, but everything after that.
Well, and now since you're the co-producer, you can be the owner of your very own platinum record for the low price of $300 if you just want to.
I did see that. I saw that.
That's pretty awesome.
I actually thought about entertaining that idea, but that's even harder to sneak in the house.
I sent it to you for Christmas, Mike.
Do that.
Put it on the mantle.
All right, so let's go back to what Dylan was saying. He's listening to Elton John. What Iron Maiden are you listening to, sir? What era are you in of Iron Maiden?
I have a few different CDs. I'd have to go back in there. It was I think it was, oh my gosh, let me look it up again. I keep them in a sleeve in my car because I've had the CD forever. It's Killers is the album that I've been on lately.
Nice.
But
back in the day.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'll Paul Diano guy. Not a Bruce Dickinson guy.
You're not. It's all right. I will say I have never been a huge Maiden guy. My cousin actually got me into them, and that's where I got the little CD. So it's just been something I keep in my car. I throw one on whenever I'm not feeling anything else. It's like I'll have Iron Maiden, and then next to that I have Nevermind, and then Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, and then all my Aerosmith. So I'm like, you have a few options to go through.
Joe, what was the first Iron Maiden album?
Just Iron Maiden.
Or just Iron Maiden?
Yeah.
And Killers was the second.
Brought that home.
Killers was the second?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then after that, Paul Diano was gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, so
I still like the stuff after that. It's just I just like the Paul Diano stuff better. I think that Bruce Dickinson's got a great voice, but it's a little too theatrical for me.
Yeah.
Where Paul Diano is more like gruff and like, I don't know, he was just more straightforward elter, so to speak.
Paul Diano was, or not Paul Diano, but Bruce Dickinson was like the who's the lead singer for Styx? Dennis DeYoung.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a little more theatrical. Yeah.
Now Freddie Mercury can get away with that, but Dennis DeYoung and Bruce Dickinson cannot. I'm just saying that he's in his own certain area right there where he can pull that off without being criticized. But yeah, so Joe and I had, when we were growing up, and I was probably in high school. I know I was in high school. Bought that first album. The first Iron Maiden album, I believe, was one of those punch outs where it had the hole in the corner.
Yep.
So it was like $4.99 because they couldn't sell them. Nobody was buying them. You had a
friend that worked at a music store or a record store, didn't you? That you got it from.
Yeah, I don't remember that part, but yeah, nobody listened to Iron Maiden. Nobody liked them, so they said, "Let's get rid of this thing, mark it down to $4.99, and punch a hole in it." And we got it and listened to it. So it's good. I mean, so that was the onslaught of British metal. That was what, behind that came Saxon. Behind that came, all the heavy metal stuff. So they started it all, but nobody.
Judas Priest started it all.
Judas Priest started it all, and they made a good name for themselves in America. They were here already doing that, and then these other guys who basically Def Leppard was on their coattails as well. Now Def Leppard came from the glam side as well as the Iron Maiden side, and the UFO.
The label that signed Iron Maiden said that they had a choice between Def Leppard and Iron Maiden. They could only put their money into one of them.
Yeah,
They wanted to do it right. They said they could have got both of them, but they were like, "You have to do it right if we're going to do this," because it was a kind of music that wasn't popular. Yeah. They were like, "If we have to do this right if we're going to do it." So they rolled the dice and chose Iron Maiden. And if you listen to the first Def Leppard album, it doesn't really sound that much different than Iron Maiden.
No, they were very heavy, and that's why I liked them. That's why we all liked them, and I got to see them opening up for Ted Nugent and the Scorpions when they were like 17, 18, 19 years old. I mean, they were just kids.
Yeah.
You know, so you think about those guys making a decision on who am I going to sign? The adults, heavy drinkers, or the teenage beginning their drinking age, yeah. Just starting out. So they signed the grown up guys. But yeah, I mean, I saw them. They opened up for Ted Nugent and the Scorpions. They played for like 25 minutes. They had one album out, one song on the radio, and I mean they were great. I fell in love with them from the time I bought the first album. But yeah, so going back to Iron Maiden, then Killers came out, and then Bruce Dickinson came along, and I listened to him for quite a while. But yeah, I'm like you, Joe. I kind of the theatrics, the story behind every album, whether it was the pyramids, whether it was the whatever it was, it's something different. And I couldn't do it anymore. But there's definitely a slew of Iron Maiden fans out there, and they'll drive anywhere to see the show. I mean, they will follow them religiously. They're like deadheads, they're Iron Maiden heads, whatever they're called.
I will say, to make a slight tangent here about deadheads, I was listening to this podcast the other day, and it might get a little PG-13 for a second, but I just thought this was really funny. So there was a time where the actual, the DEA was following the spread of acid through the United States, and you could directly correlate the flowerings of people selling acid to the Grateful Dead's tour. So people were not going to the Grateful Dead to see the Grateful Dead. They were going specifically to sit in the parking lot and sell acid. And that is how it spread through the United States. And that is the DEA followed that tour specifically to make sure that they could get in contact with that. I listened to that and I was like, that's pretty hilarious. That's just, it makes sense. It's just funny.
Yeah, it does. I can totally see that.
I would say that's PG. I don't think you went 13 at all on that.
No, I mean, it wasn't too bad or anything. I thought it was funny. It's like, how many times can you listen to Fire on the Mountain before you realize that, these guys are just selling drugs in the parking lot, and that's pretty much what the tour is.
The acid part is the PG part, but then when you add the DEA, then you get PG-13.
That's you get PG-13. Yeah, everybody. Whoa, we got to get a little crazy here.
Yeah. I had a correlation that popped in my head too, but I think it's R-rated, so we won't go there with it.
We'll talk about it after the show.
Yeah, sometime after the show. And so the third artist you're listening to is Aerosmith. What era are you in there? Where are you at?
I'm kind of all over the place with Aerosmith. I have a lot of CDs from them from whenever I was a kid, and I was just kind of getting started with it. So the first Aerosmith album I bought was Toys in the Attic, which I still, and it's probably just nostalgia giving bias here, but I still think it's their best album. I think they peaked right there, and then everything after that was just kind of like staying at that level or going down a little bit. But I have been hitting Toys in the Attic. Honestly, Just Push Play, not a bad album. I know it's way later in their career. It's not their best by any means, but it's not bad, and I've been kind of on that one as well. They had some interesting production choices on that I thought were good. Let's see, Big Ones is always a decent one, but that's just a compilation. I like Permanent Vacation as well. That one's also in my little cycle. And then if you guys get into their 90s stuff, Nine Lives was actually a pretty good album. They got a little bit heavy on that. Joe Perry definitely decided to not just stick to their regular riffs, and they did some experimental things on that, which I thought was interesting compared to some.
Joe has
things.
A Permanent Vacation story. Didn't you look like a lady one time, Joe?
I did look like a lady. I entered a contest to win tickets to go see Aerosmith, and I won the contest by dressing like a woman.
Can we get pictures of this? Do you have a picture of this? Can we?
I used to. I wish I did. But the best part is all the other guys that were dressed up as women, they all had like mustaches and fake boobs and
It's probably
on.
on.
It's like, come on, man, like
It might be on KICT95.com. That's the radio station that had the contest. But what was Bon Jovi the opening act on that show?
I don't remember.
Because I thought you got an autograph. You got an autograph on the ticket stub.
Oh, I got that at the Bon Jovi Scorpion show.
Okay, I got the two mixed up. Yeah. Whose autograph was that?
That's when I got in line. I got backstage because I got to get my dollar bill signed by Joe Perry.
You still got that?
That's pretty cool.
No, I don't know what. It's somewhere. I have no idea where.
What's the autograph you have on the ticket stub? Who's that?
Bon Jovi.
Oh, John Bon Jovi?
I saw him at the Holiday Inn after they opened up for the Scorpions.
Nice. That's very cool.
That's weird because I got an autograph on a dollar bill from Richie Sambora at the Holiday Inn when they opened up for Rat.
Wow, that's weird.
Yeah. So we went to the Holiday Inn downtown Wichita, the big white building, looking for Rat, and it was surrounded by security, so we couldn't get in there. So we went to the other Holiday Inn. We went to the Holiday Inn by the hospital on Broadway, and there was no security there because Bon Jovi was there, and nobody knew who they were or cared about them. So we parked. We walked in the hotel. We're walking around looking. Here comes Richie Sambora in his swim trunks, going to the snack machine to get something to eat. And we walked up to him and talked to him for a minute, and somebody pulled out a dollar bill, and he signed it for us. And that same story. I don't know where it's at to this day, but yeah, we had that at one time too. But Holiday Inn was the place to be back in the day.
Write songs about it.
Hey, so another thing we talked about before the show, we kind of did a pregame because I had a special guest coming on the show today. He had a family emergency. God bless him and the people that's involved with that. But hope everything, God looks over everything, blesses everybody, and takes care of them in this time of trouble. But Craig Sweden was going to be our guest. Craig's one of the guys that helped start this whole thing back in the day when we were just a Spotify show, no TV, no nothing. Craig helped design the studio a little bit. He put up the sound foam on the walls. He was going to come on and talk about a few things. We had a whole list of things to talk about, but he's not here today. So at the last minute, we kind of changed direction. It was going to be Joe and Craig and I talking about from the time we met back at Bossier High School in Shreveport, Louisiana, Bossier City, up until now and what's going on and just share old stories and stuff. But so today, before we started the show, we talked about a couple of other things we definitely want to talk about that don't involve Craig, and we can kind of step away from that. And next time he has some opportunity to get back on the show, can't wait to get him back on here and talk about all those good stories and good times. And Craig has a lot of insight in the music business. One thing we did talk about a couple days ago, and then we rehashed it this morning, was the Wolfgang Van Halen tour coming to an end. And then we talked about David Lee Roth's birthday. So David Lee Roth turned, I believe, 67 the other day. Am I right, producer?
I will check that.
I want to say 67. That doesn't sound right because I'm 57. So if he's 10 years older than me, then
he did turn 67.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy that I was 15 and Dave was 25 at one time. He was my idol.
You were 15 and he was 25.
He was just like everybody will tell you to this day. Well, not to this day because things are different. But back in his heyday, he was the guy that everybody wanted to be. Every guy wanted to be, I should say, and the girl that everybody wanted to be with David Lee Roth. He was,
you got that a little mixed up.
Yeah,
I get it.
A little mixed up there. Every girl wanted to be with David Lee Roth, and every guy wanted to be David Lee Roth. That's the way that should come across. So edit that and fix it, sir, please.
Yeah, I'll try my best.
But yeah, I mean, from the time we heard Van Halen when the first album came out, and the reason that we listened to it in the first place is because Gene Simmons had something to do with it, and we thought, well, if Kiss has something to do with it, then it's got to be good. So that's the reason we got into it. And then come to find out, Gene just kind of helped them get their foot in the door. And then from there, Ted Templeman took it, Warner Brothers took it, and Gene didn't have anything else to do with it. But Dave was always that front man, that guy, and the reason we're talking about him, not just because of his birthday, but he made the decision about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago to retire. and it just came out of nowhere. It's just like David Lee Roth put out this announcement, and I think, in my personal opinion, because I follow a lot of this stuff, it just comes from him. Number one, he's done, and why wouldn't you want to be done and just enjoy the rest of your life, not worrying about what people say about you, the tabloids, because it still happens. I mean, he's not a superstar anymore, but he's still in the spotlight. You still hear stories about Sammy Hagar talking bad about him. You still hear stories about, just Gene Simmons made a comment about Dave. He's not what he used to be anymore. That's why he's not on tour with us anymore. Stuff like that. And David Lee Roth is like, giving him the middle finger. It's like, Gene, why would you do that? I mean,
yeah, I can't say the Kiss is necessarily what they used to be either. If we're really getting down to the nuts and bolts of it, I mean, the guys are struggling, for lack of better words.
Well, Gene's known for that kind of stuff. I mean, he's just not. I don't understand why he does what he does. But anyway, another thing that happened was I think after Eddie passed away, Dave took a good hard look at himself, a good hard look at his career, and he talked about this in public. And he said, "I can't believe Eddie went before me. I thought it was going to be me to go first." They both definitely had their share of cigarettes over the years. Eddie was known to be a habitual smoker, nonstop. He'd light one cigarette off the other. During a show, it wasn't unusual to see him smoke 20 cigarettes during a show and just have one burning all the time. Dave smoked too. I never seen Dave smoke on stage. I've definitely seen pictures of Dave with cigarettes, but he always thought, I'm going to die before Ed, and he didn't. And I think it just opened him up to some things. Just like it's almost over. How do I want to go out? Do I want to go out, with people criticizing me because, he personality wise, he's not the person he was. Vocally, he's not the person he was. He's 10 years older. 10 years older than Vince Neil, and Vince is just, he shouldn't be doing anything. Vince should not be on stage.
He's done, man.
Yeah. So good job, Dave, for retiring. Happy birthday to you, sir. And like I said before, just always, I mean, I said this last week and I'll say it again. If Van Halen played every Friday night somewhere when I was a kid for $12, which is the average price I paid before they got to be outrageously priced, I would have gone every weekend. It was just that good of a show. That was high scale entertainment at its best. He can't do it no more. He can't pull it off anymore. If you go see him now, it's just nostalgia. Now, did I see Kiss the other night? It was nostalgia, yes, but it's almost the same show as it was years ago. Dave can't say that. He just can't, vocally or performance wise. He can't say that. So, it is what it is. The Van Halen, the Wolfgang Van Halen tour is over. We don't know what he's doing next. I think Guns N' Roses is on the way over to overseas. I think they're doing the European tour and things like that. I'm not sure that he's doing that part of it. If he is, good job. I haven't looked into it that much, but and the other thing we talked about was the Rolling Stones on tour. My friend Rick Stabb, who I definitely want to have on the show pretty soon. We're trying to schedule that. It's been tough because he's going through some things right now personally, and trying to get that on track. Once he gets it, he wants to be on the show. He wants to spend 30 minutes talking to us and just rehashing the good old days and the nowadays, because Rick's never left the music scene. He loves music. He's got a house full of memorabilia like you would not believe. And he went to go see the Stones in Nashville the other night, and he said it was a great show. He puts a lot of pictures on Facebook and videos and pictures on Facebook, and the stage just looks phenomenal. I mean, just unbelievable what the Stones are doing right now. So, yeah, that's good job to them.
Hey, the video I saw the same kind of videos they were from Nashville also, and Mick Jagger, I don't know how he does it, man. He's up there dancing and not like gyrating sexually or anything weird for an old man. He's just up there dancing around and skipping and hopping, and I'm like, how? Like, how are you doing this? Like, it's amazing to watch him. You're just like, that dude's, I don't even know how old he is. He's got to be close to 80.
Yeah, I want to say Mick Jagger's in his late 70s.
Yeah.
Same as Keith. But those guys, same thing as Paul Stanley. Those guys understand that if that's going to be part of my day, then I do my exercise and warm-ups and oatmeal in the morning. And at night, I'm going to do an hour and a half, 2 hours worth of calisthenics on stage and singing. That's just part of the day. I'm doing calisthenics for an hour and a half, 2 hours. I mean, that's he's working out is what he's doing. He's taking advantage of the fact I get paid to work out.
Yeah, yeah. It's pretty, I was really impressed when I saw a video. I was just like, that's unbelievable to me.
Well, it's a great tour, and they're doing it the right way because who knew that Charlie Watts was going to pass away? Number one, and when it happened, they took it by the reins, and now they have this pre-show thing that they do with a tribute to Charlie and the pictures. And I know I can just see it. I can just feel the hair on my arm standing up when they put his pictures up there, and the guys hold hands together. And Mick does this tribute and talks about Charlie and tells a story or shares some stuff with you. It's just got to be it's got to be awesome part of the show. So to do that and not pretend that we just got a new drummer on stage and we're not gonna address the fact that we lost Charlie. You know, when you're 20, 30, 40, 50, maybe you don't do that. When you're in your 80s, that's our friend. That's our lifelong friend, and we got to talk to you about this. And we know that you know Charlie like we know Charlie, and you love him as much as you love us. So yeah, we're going to talk about it. We're going to address it. So I love that part of it. I haven't actually seen a video of it, but I've seen some pictures, and the guys look better than ever, no matter what it is. The hair dye, wigs. I mean, they just look like they're having a great time. And like you said, Mick he's rocking out. The pictures I see of him. He's got the angry face. He's got the rock and roll face. He's doing all the stuff. He's him, and there's a couple pictures of him and Keith on there where they're rocking out. Keith's got the guitar and Mick's got the microphone, and it looks like 1979, but with a couple more wrinkles on the face.
Couple more, yeah, just a couple more.
Couple is an understatement, but yeah, I mean that they move, man. I'll give them credit. And to kind of go back to David Lee Roth a bit, I saw them, and granted, this was like 6 years ago. I saw them in 2015, or I guess maybe 7 years ago. Saw them in 2015, and David Lee Roth was moving, man. I mean, he was jumping and like doing all kinds of spinning the mic stand around and jumping around on the stage. So I think these guys, like you said, they get paid to work out. They've got more energy than I think all of us do, and it's pretty impressive.
David Lee Roth is a martial arts freak.
Yeah,
he's into that stuff, and like he's got like all kinds of belts and all different kinds of martial arts. I saw him on Joe Rogan, I think it was about a year ago, and he talks about that. And David Lee Roth, he comes across as a Renaissance man, but some of it you have to say is BS because he just talks a lot. You're like, all right, come on, you didn't do that. Like, like he just exaggerates a lot of stuff, but he's really, he's really interesting. And he's like, yeah, he's still energetic. So I can totally see him doing that on stage. It's been a while since I saw him live. Yeah, I guess it was probably like 2002 or something like that. And it's same thing. Yeah, he's just jumping around, and that was 20 years ago.
He's also got the Japanese tattoos. He's got like
he does.
I don't know if he's got a back, does he have a back thing or he's got the old school Japanese tattoos. Dave's definitely a good talker, and there's a video that I have. It's one of my favorite videos of Van Halen. After Dave was gone from the band, and they just started the thing with Sammy, and there's an hour long or 30-minute long documentary on MTV when they first came back. So it was just imagine it was a big deal. Van Halen is still around, and David Lee Roth's not the singer. Sammy Hagar's joining. What the heck is going on here? So it was like a honeymoon for those guys. Man, they loved each other. In the beginning, that was a great marriage. That was a wonderful thing. 5150 is a great album. There's one particular interview that I remember from that documentary. It's Eddie sitting in a hotel room, and of course he's smoking a cigarette. And they start talking about Dave, and they start talking about Sammy coming in and what the difference is and all that stuff. And Eddie makes a comment. He said, "Well, Dave was always good at the mouth." And I'm telling you, that sums it all up right there. I'm telling you that is the truth. That nobody wants to hear Sammy, but we all stood on every word that Dave had to say at the concert. Now, it used to drive me crazy when they do a samurai thing. So there'd be like a drum solo with Alex, and Dave would be doing spinning around and the swords and all that kind of stuff. I was like, what is this? Seriously? Why are you doing
But
this?
It was cool, wasn't it? It was
the
cool.
The first time, but after that it wasn't. I'm telling you, it was just, I mean, Dave used Dave used to say when somebody threw like a penny on stage or a battery or a beer bottle, whatever, Dave would stop the show and point to the guy out there and say, "I'm gonna kick your," you know, or hey man, you do that one more time, I'm gonna come out there and your girlfriend. I mean, Dave did not have a problem addressing the crowd and then get right back to work and nobody cared. Like Dave was
I've seen him do that a couple of times back in the day.
That was his crowd. That was his night. That was his hour and a half, 2 hours. He owned that place, and you don't mess with Dave. So he's not that guy anymore. He's not a bad MFer no more, but he used to be for sure. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us on Rockapedia. We appreciate you watching on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Thank you, Gypsy Joe, for joining us from Richmond, Virginia, and the producer. See you next time.